about advertising, because I'm advertising business. Can you, I think at this moment it's a confusion. The advertisers don't know what to do. It's not easy. Now all these social networking sites, how we can use them, how not to use them, because it can be aggressive. Can you give some tips, some ideas for what will happening for the advertising industry, how to use all these things who are coming up, if it's possible?
It really boils down to, what are you advertising and who's your market? I mean, with Myspace, our sweet spot is 16 to 24. Our largest growing demographic, however, is 35 and up. So the one thing we always tell people is like, so what are kind of the use cases and the demographics of Myspace? And we're not kidding when we say it's the internet. It's about 50-50 men versus women. It ranges from 14 years old up through 74 years old. It's all over the place. It really depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, if you're selling cars, what are you selling? We'll say, you're selling a BMW 3 Series. So you make a really cool little video for it, post it on MySpace, take that link, go into one of our forums of like car enthusiasts, and go, hey, check out this video. Done. You can do it that way. The one thing that we always said with MySpace, and I can talk about this because it's been in the news actually for quite some time. We got in bed with Google for advertising. So Google is serving up all of our official ads as well as search. They wrote us a check for $900 million. So for the next 4 years, Google's kind of renting us. But when it comes to advertising from people's profiles, I mean, one of my personal hobbies is I grew here. And so a while ago, I wanted to see exactly how far of a reach that I could go just as a social experiment. So I made this little banner ad, and my beer name, it was No Name Beer, and a link to a profile I set up on MySpace. I just put it on my profile, and I waited. I then sent out a bulletin to all my friends going, hey, check it out. My fake beer distribution profile had over 25,000 friends who signed up because they wanted to know what I was doing. It's just that simple. So if you want to throw up a little banner ad, or if you want to create a video, or you want to do some sort of advertising where you're doing it, it's something that you specifically are doing, knock yourself out. And then, of course, there's also the other side of it, which, if you got the money, I recommend it. You can always advertise with us. But you don't, do it yourself. I mean, it's viral. Somebody's going to watch it. Somebody's going to see it. Someone's going to mention it. I mean, that's how a video goes from being uploaded today to our video section that 2 people see, that in 6 months it's at 15 million views. That's just how it is. It's who you trying to market to, and actually what is the content. Because here's the funny thing about social networks. It could be an Academy Award-winning video, beautifully crafted. You've spent €250,000 making this one video. This is your opus. It is beautiful. People will probably see it. Or, conversely, if it's just a bad video, you'll probably get more people seeing it. That's just kind of how it is. I mean, it's gotten to the point where with Web 2.0 and with social networking and social engineering, you don't need to be a movie studio or a television studio to create really compelling content. 99% of the video content we have on the site is stuff out of your camera. The other stuff is premium content that we either license, or we do advertising with movie studios and television, et cetera, et cetera. 99+%. Is that right there? That's it. And when it comes to that other site shutting you down because they only give you 10 minutes, we give you 100 megabytes. So knock yourself out.
YouTube.
Was a question in here before?
Yes.
Also,
yeah. Jesus de Pablos from Matos Origin. I'm a media consultant. And I want to ask to all of you, when we are speaking about big success companies like Myspace, Akamai, worldwide solutions, but and all these solutions are monetizing the solution using advertising. But I think we need other solutions to also monetize with premium messages for mobile phone SMS, something like that, for some companies working with small targets or needing more incomes from some contents, because not only we work for worldwide, nice, beautiful, big companies, also for solve local and smaller solutions. And this kind of companies also needs incomes not only from the local country, but maybe for the European countries or from other places. So, do you know, or any know, a solution for premium money worldwide or European and US wide, and not only advertising solutions?
Well, I mean, my whole philosophy when it comes to premium mobile content is, why should I pay for it? What makes it special enough for me to pay for it? Is it something exclusive? Is it a ringtone that I can only receive on Telefonica? Is it a wallpaper or game I can only receive on Vodafone? Is it a video clip that I can only receive if I sign up for a subscription service kind of thing? I mean, that's kind of the first thing. I mean, you have to, at least from my observations that I've seen with people, you have to give them a reason to break out the credit card. Or you have to give them a reason to go, I accept paying €3.50 on my next bill to get this piece of content. The content has to be compelling, and it has to be exclusive. Once you do that, I mean, one of the things that we always do with Myspace, with our SMS, our text alerts, we are live in the United States on AT&T, Sprint, Helio, and in Europe, we're live in the UK across all markets, across all carriers, Spain, Germany, France, I believe, and Australia. Now, the way the model is here when it comes to text messaging, as all of you know, you pay for outgoing and you pay for incoming. I don't charge you any extra. Myspace, we don't charge you for it. That's between you and your provider. So that's where, as a provider, that's also another way that you can kind of do a premium offering. But really, like I said, what it boils down to is you have to give the consumer the reason of, okay, I will pay for it. I have to have this. I will pay for it. So it has to be exclusive. It has to be really compelling. If I can get it 40 other places for free, I ain't going to pay you. But if I can only get it from you. Prime example when it comes to exclusivity, Madonna's, not her last album, but the album before, she released it on MySpace. Exclusive. Full album. You couldn't download it. That was the fun part. It was only streaming, but it was only available for 2 days on MySpace before it came live. Our traffic reached historic peaks. It's exclusive. I can't find it anywhere else. It was free. Of course, I couldn't buy it, but the whole thing was, and I would guarantee you that if we had done the whole, all right, Madonna's latest album, exclusively on MySpace, $10, $9.95, download it from here. Insane amount of money, because I can only get it there. Exclusive, compelling. Give me a reason to break out the credit card. That's your secret right there. Not really a big secret, but that's your secret.
Do you guys do ad targeting? I mean, targeting ads?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do from localized markets to demographics to regions to well, you know, just to really sum it up, Google serves up our ads. You know how they're really good at doing ad targeting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I've just got a general question about social networking. What's your opinion on the launch of the Google Social Project, which I believe MySpace is signed up to be involved in? What's your impact? What do you think the impact will be on the mobile aspect, specifically for you?
So, well, there's two programs that MySpace is very proud to be pillars of. It's the Open Social Network, or Open Social Forum, or whatever it's called this week. And then the other one is the Open Handset Alliance, which we are not officially a part of yet. We are in discussion with Google. Personal opinion, I think it's fantastic. I come from the philosophy of, I'll use Euros in European sense. I pay 800 euros for my Nokia N95. I pay X amount of euros a month for my data plan and X amount of months for my voice plan from Vodafone. As long as I'm not breaking the law, don't you tell me what I can and cannot do with my device. If I decide to build my own application and sideload it onto my phone, and I brick my phone, I turn it into a 900 euro paperweight because I wrote the code wrong and I fried the software, it's my fault. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think it's a good first step, especially domestically. It's very interesting who they have teamed up. It's more interesting who hasn't signed up.
Yeah, that's the other question. What do you think of the main company who hasn't signed up yet?
Verizon?
No, the one that begins with face.
Oh, them?
Yeah. In terms of the APIs.
I got a camera on me. Stagnation equals death. If you do not evolve with the technology, you will be left behind. And my sole existence within MySpace, mobile especially, is to make sure that we evolve with the technology. I do find it very interesting that Zuckerberg and his crew haven't really done anything with it. And the reason I said Verizon, because I was actually reading yesterday, Verizon Wireless in the United States is one of the most closed garden carriers on the planet. Yet yesterday there was a press release, I don't know if any of you saw it, they're opening up their handsets.
Yeah, finally.
Because of Android. I will guarantee you. And it also helps that they're getting ready to drop a few $1 million into buying some spectrum, so they want to make sure that everyone's nice and warm and fuzzy with Verizon. I do find it very interesting that Facebook hasn't done it. I mean, their only two mobile offerings they have right now is their regular website, and then the thing that they have with the BlackBerry, which is only available on T-Mobile in the United States, which we are just going gangbusters. I want to be everywhere. I want to be on every device, because the way I look at it is, it's to borrow the phrase from Helio, it's not just a phone, it's a communication tool. So be on it. It kind of leads into, with Spain, why the social networking is slowly creeping into it. I mean, social network has been around since cavemen. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, we're social networking right now. It's a matter of the technology, and I feel that as the technology improves, is where you're going to start seeing the pops in areas. Japan is 5 to 7 years ahead of everybody else on the planet. You've got kids who are growing up in Japan who have no idea what it's like not to have a cell phone and text message their friends and surf the web on their phone. They have no idea what that world is like. And then, of course, you've got calling someone?
Automatically.
Speaking of technology. Calling someone? It didn't dial itself. You need a young priest and an old priest. But yeah, and then you've got, like, myself. I'm going to be 37 at the end of this year. I remember a time when there was no such thing as the internet. And bulletin board and BBSs roamed the earth like archaic dinosaurs with 9600 baud modems, if you were lucky, and we liked it. Now it's high-speed fiber optics into your house with 50-inch plasmas and kids who are growing up with. We've all seen those phone commercials where the kid is talking to her mom using SMS short code, like OMG, WTF, and it's like, they're not kidding. We have a generation of these technophiles, and I think that's what's going to happen. And I hate to say it, but if you don't want to evolve with the technology and keep up, you're going to die, which I find very interesting that Facebook hasn't really gone gung-ho into it. Or they really have and they just haven't told anyone. And they're waiting to go, surprise!
Yeah.
But I'm doubting that.
Última cuestión, nos vamos a comer y ahí en foro abierto pues podéis hablar un poquito más tranquilamente. Last question,
to add to that, the Facebook already has their open platform for the APIs.
Yeah.
It's already available.
Yeah, and we are actually in the process of doing it ourselves, as you see in news releases. And one of the main reasons why we've decided to wait so long is, and to be blunt, we saw what Facebook did. We don't want to repeat their mistakes, so we're doing it carefully. I still want to send Facebook a fruit basket because the #1 Facebook application on their Open API platform is make your Facebook look like MySpace. I want to send them a fruit basket and say, thank you.
I come from a side company in Telefonica, and I have a question for everybody that wants to answer that. It's about the importance of identity and having a unique identity across all the social networks we are in. And how do you see that? How do you value that? What's your vision on the possible convergence of identity management? And if some middleman like Akamai, some carrier, could host this identity for you, so the user identifies itself in the network or in a middleware like Akamai, and then you go from network to network.
We are looking at that.
So, just to understand, are you talking about the possibility of I am Miguel in the net, and since I log in, I am logged in every platform?
You log in yourself somewhere, and wherever you go, you just refer to this identity. So you don't have to link, because somebody was talking before about I'm registering 4, 5, 6 social sites. I'm a different person, everyone. You were talking about clicks. How many clicks, how many logins you have to keep in mind. How many, if you have only one unique user and login, or your certificate or your whatever, and you can carry on from network to network, that would easy things.
So there's a good thing and there's a bad thing to that. So here's the bad thing, and this is where I wave the corporate branding banner. I don't need Facebook, Friendster, Bebo, Mixi, QQ, Orchid, Twitter, anything like that to be mixed in with my brand. I'm MySpace. That's how it is. From a business corporate perspective, it's about brand recognition. My personal opinion, and from a user/technological reason, so October, Microsoft announced that it invests $240 million in the Facebook for 1.5% of Facebook. 15 minutes after that news article came out, the blogosphere lit up with people going, oh great, now Facebook is just going to be like Hotmail Passport. They don't want it. Everyone has specific identities, and it's human psychology. When you go to a club, you're not a 35-year-old accountant. You're trying to be a hip kind of guy going to a club. I have friends on Facebook. I have a profile on Facebook. My profile might be slightly different on Facebook than it is on MySpace. I have friends on Friendster. I have friends. There is no way I would ever show my mom and dad my MySpace profile. They don't need to see that. It's human nature. I mean, from a technological perspective, I mean, I think single sign-on and having the ability to have access to whatever type of information, kind of like if once I log in, I am Jason Ling on MySpace. All right, I'm going to go to Facebook. Oh, I'm the same Jason Ling on Facebook that I am on MySpace. Or now I'm going to go to my bank and do my banking as Jason Ling, who's the same Jason Ling on Facebook and on MySpace. That's not the case.
It's not ideal for advertisers either.
No, definitely not, because you're targeting certain things. I mean, like on my Facebook profile, I have that set up, and occasionally I add things to my Facebook just to see if they catch them. And if you look at my Facebook profile and my MySpace profile, there's two completely different sets of advertising that have been keyed to what I've put in. Now, both of them, I am 100% honest. I am not lying. I may omit some stuff, but I am not lying. So because of that, I'm having two different types of advertising. And I think exactly what was said is that I think the advertisers are going to look at it and go, I don't want one identity that permeates everywhere.
The usability perspective, it makes an awful lot of sense.
It would be fantastic, but the thing is, no brand would ever want to hang out with another brand.
And that story we told about, Adidas creating the MySpace Adidas page and it getting friended 68,000 times, and then it virally being distributed 23 million times, whatever it was, in a period of like 2 weeks. They're using that concept obviously to be able to pinpoint certain things, so that their profile would have created an identity. If they had then created a microsite, which was just Adidas, so you have MySpace Adidas and then an Adidas microsite, they would be two different personalities. And at the end of the day, these guys are surviving and growing and thriving based on advertising money. So from a user perspective, I think it would be wonderful. So maybe there's a halfway house. I mean, Akamai at the moment is looking at how you can, within the privacy laws that we live in Europe, which are very different to North America, within the privacy laws that are there, how can we provide an insight into the data that we have within that network or platform, which, I mean, there's 6 trillion log lines created by that platform every single day. That's a huge amount of information. So how can we, within privacy laws in the UK and in mainland Europe, provide that to our customers in order that they can create more of a seamless environment as their users move through either their, you know, if you're a publisher and you have 20 websites just within your own domain, or how do you do that with partners, or in the wider world. Maybe there's a halfway house between those two things, but I think the advertisers would resist that. Our experience would be that they wouldn't want single login.
And another thing from a privacy perspective, and we learned this when we launched mobile in the UK. I don't know if it's known. If it is, I'm just regurgitating something that if you have a mobile user under the age of 18, you cannot display their first name, last name, and in the city they live in. Now, that may seem completely innocuous. London's a big city. It's got a lot of people. But still, but in the United States, hell, I could put a link to Google Earth of the pinpoint of where my house is in LA. It's not against the law. No one's going to yell at me. So there's that issue too. When you start jumping from one place to another place to another place, you are going to be transcending geographic and legal boundaries. I mean, when you get into mobile in the United States, there's no such thing as adult content in the United States because of the FCC. Yet the #1 downloaded wallpaper in the UK are the Page 3 girls. And for those of you who know the Page 3 girls, you know why it is the #1 downloaded wallpaper in the UK. And it's perfectly cool. It's perfectly cool. Nobody cares. The Home Office doesn't care because it's revenue coming in. However, you try to pull that in the United States, you've got the FCC and more than likely a Senate subcommittee hearing. This kind of leads into the architecture that you see here for the website is something that we're going to have to do for mobile as we go globally. As it stands right now, we are 100% based mobile in Los Angeles, which is fine if you're just loading up a WAP site from UK, Spain, Germany. You're not getting that rich multimedia content. So you might have a little bit of a delay of maybe 3 to 5 seconds while your phone hits the tower, your tower talks to Vodafone or Telefonica, Telefonica then talks to the internet goes, jumps across the Atlantic, jumps across the United States, hits us in LA, and then sends it all the way back. That's fine for really, really basic kind of content. So, and what Manuel was saying is like some of the stuff that I can talk about that's coming up, that we're hinting at, is we are doing a complete redesign of mobile.myspace.com from a graphic perspective and from a usability perspective. That is going to be coming first quarter of next year. Not to get into too much detail, but I really feel that by YouTube taking a bunch of videos and putting them on mobile was a really good plan. I just think it was poorly executed. And the reason behind that is not just my own personal opinion about it, but also user dissatisfaction of what's going on with YouTube. It is the top 300,000 most popular videos on YouTube. So the video that you shot this last weekend that you've uploaded to YouTube, if you want to go visit your grandmother who doesn't even have a computer, you can't show her on mobile. It'll never see the light of day on mobile. That's not user-generated content. That's categorizing and commercializing content. That's not UGen. UGen is everything, whether it's the 5-second video clip of, I think the #1 video that we have right now is a 5-second video clip of a kid getting hit in the head with a soccer ball. It's dumb. It's 28 million views. So, according to the YouTube formula, you would see that one. But the majority of our video is around 90 seconds. It's stuff that none of you will ever see unless you look for it. I have a friend of mine who is currently serving his 3rd tour over in Iraq. And what he does is instead of doing email and instead of writing a letter, because it just doesn't work that way over there, having worked government military contracts, I could write a letter now, and it will show up at my house probably sometime in February, because that's just how it is. What he does is he got a buddy of his who has a webcam, and he records every single day a 5-minute clip to his wife and his kids. Going, hey honey, I'm still here, everything's fine, that's fantastic, etc., etc. Loads it up to Myspace. His wife knows that when she wakes up the next morning, she can just go ahead, log into her profile, see her husband's video from the day before. Now, the beautiful thing about that is, what if you could take that video and that wife, show it on her phone, and go to his parents, his grandparents who are still alive, who probably don't have a computer, and go, hey, your son's doing okay, your grandson's doing okay. Or, conversely, he has a little daughter. The little daughter just took her first steps. She recorded it. He's got access to a cell phone over there. Might not have access to the web. She can shoot him a quick text message going, honey, I'm sending you a file. Or log on to Myspace. You need to log on to our profile and see the latest video that I just uploaded. So from 10,000 miles away, you can see his daughter's first steps. YouTube doesn't do that. I want to do that. I'm going to do that. But I need these guys. Because there's no way in hell that I'm going to sit here in Madrid and load up a video that's being hosted in El Segundo, Southern California, and get the same experience. I'll deal with it because I just don't care. But your typical user isn't going to want that. So that's why one of the main reasons with Akamai, the way I'm looking at it from a mobile perspective, is taking this and moving it mobile. Mobile's global. The internet's global. If I start doing latency and I start doing bad experiences, people aren't going to use it anymore. So that's kind of my job. So, are there any questions about MySpace, architecture, mobile, why I'm not in a suit?
I have a question. This is not a setup, by the way.
Sure it is.
So, you mentioned that the internet is global and mobile is global, but one of the things that Akamai has learned as we've expanded our business from North America into Europe and into Asia is that there is global and then there's local markets. Mm-hmm. So the UK is a very localized market. I believe the Spanish market is probably very similar in a lot of ways in terms of two aspects. There's obviously the language and then there's the infrastructure.
Sure.
From the humanitarian element of MySpace and the social networking communication for everyone is excellent, but what have you learned about the commercial aspects of helping people that operate in a local market leverage what is effectively a global phenomenon,
sure.
but be able to, in some way either improve the way that they communicate with their customers, partners, whatever that is, and also either pay for it or make money from it?
So there's multiple parts to that. So the helping out local markets kind of understand their users. I mean, I'll never tell Telefonica how to talk to their users.
Probably good.
Probably not a wise thing to do. But I will tell Telefonica that if social networking and user-generated content is important to you, I recommend you do it this way. Because this is how people are currently doing it, not only on the internet, but also in other mobile markets, where you may not have a robust infrastructure, but this is my suggestion how to do it. I may not know the ins and outs of your typical Madrid teenager and their mobile usage. I do. That's my job, finding out how people use their phone and what they use it for around the world. But all you have to do is look, what are they doing on MySpace?
Right.
And it's not necessarily what are they doing on MySpace, it's what are they doing? It's like, okay, are they text messaging? Oh, okay, fine. Well, India, I'll use India as a prime example. There is no way I am ever going to launch a robust Java application in India because Star India and the other telcos would look at me going, you're crazy. Our infrastructure can't handle it. We don't have a billing setup. We don't have anything like that. So then scale it back a little. We go, all right, well, how about a WAP offering? All right, we can do WAP, but we're not really into billing either. It's because of a technological reason or it's because of a business relation reason. So let's do advertising. Cool, let's do advertising. At the end of the day, everybody needs a check. I don't do business development. Contracts give me a nosebleed. I stay out of it. But there's always the thing of like, okay, on portal, off portal, let's share on the revenue, and then we'll even scale it back even more, going back to India. India, heavy SMS traffic. Okay, fine, let me figure out a product that makes sense for India. So let's start doing that. Really, it's kind of the phrase when in Rome. You know, like some of the other emerging markets, Latvia, Estonia, Bulgaria, and Russia, I'm not going to give them a Brew application or a Java application or Flash widgets or anything like that. They just can't handle it. At the WiMAX conference yesterday, I was talking to a telco based out of Bulgaria, and they're talking about launching WiMAX in Bulgaria. I'm like, that's fantastic. And they're like, but we're going to get users, and if our users start using WiMAX on Myspace, our towers are going to tip over. We can only handle 80 customers per tower, and each tower only costs us 25,000 euros a pop, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, scale it back. Baby steps. Mobile is now where the internet was, in my opinion, 1995, 1996. We're right at that peak where there's going to be this major technological epiphany, where everything is just going to line up and it's all going to make sense. Where, in my mind, I would love to see the way of subscription models go away and make it advertising. Because people do anything for free. I mean, hell, look at MySpace. They'll do anything for free. And the money is there. It might not be, you're not going to make $20 million in the first 6 months, but you might make $20 million in the first year, and then have this insane amount of coverage, and your users are happy. Little steps. Forest for the trees kind of thing.
Okay.
I mean, there will be a Q&A now.
Beautiful.
Talking about not just MySpace, but the whole meeting.
Beautiful.
So, you know.
Good. Thanks.
Can I turn the lights on?
Thank you. Lo que me gustaría es que fueseis todos cubriendo el parte de evaluación, sobre todo para saber un poco vuestro feedback y para teneros fichados, sobre todo para saber quién ha venido y quién no ha venido.
En MySpace, obviamente, yo puedo definir a las personas que va a durar y que yo puedo saber que la referencia, bueno o malo, de tal producto, tal servicio, viene de un amigo, de un amigo, de un amigo. Si yo tengo referencia de cómo ha llegado a conocer su referencia, porque con 270 millones de personas, no voy a ver todas las referencias. Yo voy a ver 2, 3, 4 niveles como muchísimo, ¿no? En esas cosas. Pero si yo tengo este hilo, tengo más confianza en esas cosas. Esa es la gracia de aprovechar de lo que hay en los social networks. Y pero también que yo me experiencia que cada usuario al final va a sacar sus propias conclusiones, va a ver los sitios que tienen más confianza y los sitios que no. Y no solo por la calidad del servicio del producto que aporta, sino también a medida de que cada vez se ponen más contenidos que nada por los usuarios, pues saben los sitios donde ellos mismos están filtrando, porque se puede filtrar por dirección IP, pueden hacer algunas cosas, no, yo tengo confianza de que algunos sitios pues hacen el filtrado mejor y otros peor. Pero no hay una garantía en eso. Seguro que
Jason tiene una opinión.
Seguro.
Do you understand me?
I haven't translated. Yeah, no evidence anymore. And I apologize if I repeat anything that you said or anything like that.
That's why the neighbor.
Not for you.
At least make fun of the dumb American when I'm not here. So, here's the thing with social networks: they've got nothing to lose. The one thing, and here's an example exactly what Manoj and I were talking about. So you go to movies.yahoo.com, and there's a reason why there's 2 different review systems. You've got the professional reviewer whose paycheck is determined on how he does reviews, and then you have everybody else. When my friends tell me that the movie 300 is, I'll have one friend go, it is the greatest thing in the entire world, you should go see it, you should go see it now. And then I have another friend go, wow, I thought I was watching a 2-hour Village People movie, direct quote. They're being honest. They have absolutely nothing to lose. If they don't like something, they don't like something. It's not like they're going to get barred from the establishment. And the one thing that I've noticed, especially in social networks, is people will listen to their friends before they listen to anybody else, because their friends have nothing to lose. That's really it.
It's clear. I mean, my question is, we are in the level of maturity enough in terms of social networking, in which I, from being a reader, not a writer,
sure.
I can trust.
Yeah.
I can trust in the comments
Yes, definitely.
That's
No,
that's
yeah,
my question.
Yeah, you definitely can. I mean, and the thing is, especially about social networks, it's think of a social network as a pond, where I throw one bad comment into that pond, and there's a ripple effect. And depending on how large that social network is, and how engaged that social network is, to be blunt, to go by a restaurant comment, establishments get made and broken by this kind of thing. I mean, when you've got 2,500 people go, for the love of God, don't go to that Starbucks in Santa Monica, it's horrible. You're going to have 2,500 people plus not go to that Starbucks in Santa Monica. It's a ripple effect. And I think businesses, media, etc., they're starting to come around to that. They're realizing that, 3 years ago, if somebody wrote a bad blog about something, people are like, oh, it's just the blogosphere, and they don't know what they're talking about, and why should we listen to them? And nowadays it's like, wow, that blog's read by 2.5 million people, and those 2.5 million people have the same opinion that this is a bad movie, and they're not going to go see it. So maybe we should start listening to the blogosphere. So you're right. You're absolutely right.
In case anyone doesn't know, Miguel is modeling the Akamai special Akamai bag. This is not a standard Akamai bag. This is unique social networking blue, MySpace blue.
Those are unique.
Those two are unique. We have 20 other unique bags. You can either ask a question in English, Spanish, French, German, whatever language you choose. Just don't point any of the hard languages at me or anybody else, and then we win a bag. Or you can tell the rest of the group what your experience has been. So you can win a very unique bag today. One time only, that's it.
That's great.
There you go.
My name is Veronica and I work for a Spanish site, Boda Click and Evento Click, and my question is for the three of you different. And it's how you see the Spanish market now. But I don't want to see how it's great, it's growing. No, really, what do you think about the Spanish market? If it's good for social networking? I ask a lot to my friends, and just one or two are in a social network. So I don't know if really Spain is going in that direction or not. I would like to know, what do you think about it?
I can take your word as well.
Yes,
our perspective from Akamai, since the beginning of the year, we're seeing something that we didn't see before. We see social networks coming up from anywhere, names that you never heard of. Suddenly, they have so many thousands of users. So yes, we see that. We see that growing, and as Jason said before, those are targeted to kids between 16 and 24 years old, so probably we don't know them. Those companies. So yeah, but we see them popping up all over the place. I think we're seeing this ripple effect that was seen in the States 3 years ago. Now it's coming over here.
But I think in the United States there is this way of life that your friends are living in one side of the world, United States, and the other, and this is not yet in Spain. Especially if you don't live in capitals and you live like in smaller villages, the usual thing is that you are going to be all your life in the same way. So, do you really need a social network tool? That's what I know. I suppose in Madrid it's going very fast, but it's just a guess. I'm not sure about it.
I can make a couple of comments if you want. I'll speak in English. Yes. If not, Jason's going to hear blah 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 blah. Face whoever. People.
Face someone. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, that's it. As I've worked with both in MySpace and with Facebook. I totally agree that with Manuel that 2 years ago, I have references of people that worked on the social networking sites. But again, it wasn't something that I saw at all here in Spain. It wasn't something that anyone talked about. I didn't have any friends here in Spain that used these networks. In the last 6 months, I'm starting to get, I wouldn't say on a daily basis yet, but on a weekly basis, emails from friends and things like, you've been invited to join this social networking site of this person, and people in Spain, and colleagues that I work with or ex-colleagues, And as time goes on, the thing I think that took off first in Spain, that from my point of view about a year ago, was LinkedIn. In the professional area, probably half the people ex-colleagues that I've worked with and I've kept in touch with are now connected with over LinkedIn. So as a professional social network, it's been very popular. I think in that same area, I think the professional side's taken off more than the 16 to 24-year-olds. So I think like I've seen more Facebook here in Spain than I've seen MySpace. Maybe I'm not the right profile to be as engaged on the MySpace side. But I've seen definitely in the last 6 to 8 months a lot more of this interactivity. I agree with Manuel that I think that Spain, we're probably a year, 12 to 18 months behind the U.S. because a lot of my contacts on MySpace and Facebook, and you go to, when you log in, you see, well, this person is eating their lunch, and this person is reading the paper, and this person is listening to a conference call. And I don't spend my day updating what I'm doing every moment of the day, but in the U.S., a lot of people do. So my contacts that I have in other countries, especially in the U.S., you notice that they are now in this connected 24/7 mode. Whereas in Spain, we're not there yet. Or I don't see it. I'm not saying yet. But I definitely do see the interest in connecting, and I definitely see, on the other side, more, as time goes on, the value. So we talked about, for example, what's the value of someone giving you a reference and say this movie is a good movie or a bad movie? At the end of the day, if I have 10 friends, half of them are going to say the movie is great, and the other half are going to say the movie is bad. But you have these applications so that over time, I can say, well, I value these friends' opinions because they have the same taste that I have. And with cars, I value these people's opinions, and on some other thing, I value these people's opinions. So as time goes on, I get more information. I can start to say, well, for these topics, I'm going to listen more to these people in my group and these friends of these friends, and I'm going to start to create all these subgroups where I know that these people are going to give me the kinds of interests, are going to give me opinions similar to the things that my conclusions, right? So I do think it's growing in interest.
I'll just say on that, I mean, the UK is very similar in that respect. We are not traditionally known as a nationality or a race of people that is very extrovert. And so the thought of a homepage for me telling you what I'm doing tomorrow or what my cat looks like or whatever, for me is a little too far beyond where I want to reveal myself. So I think actually the cultural aspect of social networking, there's 3 or 4 things. The cultural aspect of social networking in Spain, in the UK, in France, very much in France, we will ultimately decide how we want to use this communication method. The same way that we use cell phones probably differently, or we use our computers for different things. I think each locale will find its own cultural way of adopting it. But in each locale, everyone wants to communicate one way or the other. The geography of England is not so dissimilar to some of the other countries like Spain, that you have a big hub like a London, and then you have a Manchester. I live in the countryside. I don't live in London, and so I'm quite close to my friends in terms of where I live. But then I travel a lot with work, and I've started to use this concept of social networking more basically through my work life changing. That's really what's changed it. As I travel around more, and I'm not as available to my fiance or to my daughter or to my friends, then I started using that a little more. So I think culturally, each region will figure out how it's going to use this, but it will use this because every region communicates. And then commercially, every region, I mean, at the end of the day, what MySpace has achieved has commercial impact for everyone, regardless. This is the power of viral marketing, good and bad, and that's what we were hearing about before with reviews. That's powerful for business, and I think business, 18 months, 2 years generally in the internet is behind North America. So the cultural thing, I think we'll figure that out country by country, region by region, language by language. The technology is already there. Thankfully, we've got examples of people that have already done this, learned what worked for their culture, but also what worked for their enterprise, and we'll figure that out over the next 12, 18, 24 months. And frankly, that's the bet that Akamai is taking. You know, I said I wouldn't get a sales pitch because the big guy's still in the back of the room. He still will throw me out. Either of those two will throw me out. But what Akamai has learned and what we're doing in January next year, we are creating a specialist digital media business starting in some core territories where companies and some big organizations, not just media or internet-only organizations, but broadcasters, publishers, advertisers that want to take this social networking concept and bring it into their business. That's what we're doing. We're starting a specialist unit that will be learning these lessons and going to talk to businesses, because we think over the next 12, 18, 24 months, we'll figure it out culturally, and then we'll figure it out commercially. And to Monty's point earlier on, that will come, but it's down to the individuals and down to the organizations and down to the cultures as to how we use it. I don't see the UK using MySpace the same way that I see from some of my US friends. I mean, some of my US friends have profiles on MySpace and on others that I personally wouldn't put out there. Not at all. But it's okay for them because, you know, the guys in Los Angeles or the girls in New York, and they have a particular style. So I think culturally, we will figure it out, and then commercially we will figure it out. But it will be over the next 2 years. It's not today. But I think we have to be aware of it because, number one, social networking is not going away. It's getting bigger and faster, and it's spreading now. So what was, you know, person to person is now person to business, business to audience, it's all sorts. So I think we'll figure that out over the next 2 years.
Son dos cosas distintas.
Perfectamente.
La primera, la de los blogs, el incremento está siendo bastante grande, pero principalmente la parte de blogs personales, porque lo que es los blogs de periodistas es el crecimiento, no creas que está siendo tanto, pero en cambio el personales, tanto en el país como en el AS, como en Cadena SER, incluso algunos servicios que estamos abriendo nuevos, está siendo brutal, y la verdad es que pensábamos que todas las redes que se están montando tendrían un uso de crearse cuentas, como bien dices, pero que no se usan, y más o menos está siendo un 20% el uso, o sea, cuentas que se están constantemente viendo post, y el análisis que hicimos inicialmente era un 5%, o cualquier 5%. Que se está llegando a un 20 más o menos de gente que está metiendo comentarios y que está dando de alta pues un post cada día o cada semana, una vez por semana más o menos. La parte de Yo Periodista es otra bastante que ha explotado bastante, y digamos que solo en Yo Periodista tenemos más usuarios únicos que en el portal de clasificados, por ejemplo, la calidad de portales clasificados, o la suma de portales que se dedican a un tema determinado. O sea, en un día podemos tener 30.000 usuarios únicos, y en servicios que son más de información pura y dura sobre un tema, pues puede llegar a 5.000, 3.000. Quiero decir que se está notando bastante que la gente le gusta subir información y sobre todo verse y enviar a los amigos.
O sea, eso al final generará un trabajo en vuestro backend terrible desde el punto de vista de clasificación. Es decir, ¿cómo funciona? Es curiosidad. ¿Cómo funciona el tema de clasificar qué noticias son buenas, válidas, lo que sea, interesantes, y cuáles en un momento dado puedan ser nocivas o...?
Pues tenemos dos cosas: automatismos, que suele ser bastante fácil de saltarse, con lo cual tenemos ahí un conjunto de personas que estamos limpiando y moderando, entre comillas, porque no se puede moderar todo, y sobre todo porque la gente se sentiría que le están cortando la libertad. Y la verdad es que hay mucha gente. Tenemos un incremento de 2 personas más o menos cada 6 meses que tenemos que añadir al equipo.
Solo haciendo eso. Sí. O sea, que se lo saben todo, ¿no?
Bueno,
me refiero que se saben todo lo que pasa a todo el mundo, porque
se nos cola bastante.
Perdona, ¿cuál es el canal que más éxito tiene? ¿El móvil o la web? O sea, que en el Yo Periodista la gente también...
En el Yo Periodista, el web. El móvil, la verdad es que la gente no sube tanto como se querría y me gustaría. Se utiliza mucho el envío de foto, y de vídeo un poco. Se utiliza más el vídeo en web. Que la gente lo graba en vídeo, pero luego se va al web a subir. Luego suena, porque además la calidad...
¿Puedo hacer una pregunta?
Claro, por supuesto.
Que yo ya...
No sé, a mí me gustaría hacer una puntualización personal. Tú decías si era cambio, algo cultural, algo... ¿Cuál es la diferencia entre los países? Yo creo, personalmente, que la diferencia es el cambio generacional, ¿no? Decía Miguel que quienes tienen cuenta, ¿no? Está claro que somos del medio y hemos tenido que conocer esto para poder seguir viendo qué cosas se pueden hacer y qué cosas pues podemos desarrollar. La gente de 30 o 28 para arriba está acostumbrada a leer el periódico, el diario, y ver un review de una película o algo para saber una opinión, un restaurante, vas, preguntas, te metes a un website y puedes ver algunas opiniones, depende de si te fías o no, que era lo que decía la gente de Bea, de los solo hunters. Yo creo que ahora el cambio generacional es la gente que viene detrás, ¿no? La gente de MySpace de 16 a 24 años, que están todos juntos en un sitio, se recomiendan cosas, se recomiendan una película, se recomiendan un sitio para comer, lo que sea, opiniones que tú realmente te vas a valer.
Edgar, ¿te presentas?
Sí, soy Edgar de León, trabajo en Mobile Civil, hacemos pues, televisión online, pues estamos intentando hacerlo. Y estamos también entrando un poco al tema este de las redes sociales porque queremos que los usuarios también generen contenido, lo que mencionabas de periodismo digital y este tipo de cosas, ¿no? De nuevo, yo creo que tú dices que estás teniendo un incremento y yo creo también personalmente que la gente nueva que está llegando a las universidades, que está estudiando periodismo, encuentra en los blogs del país una salida para poder ser escuchado, más que todo, ¿no? Y a medida que vaya avanzando esta brecha generacional, pues van a ir subiendo los contenidos y van a irse desarrollando esta red social.
¿Podrías contar un poco vuestro caso? Porque, o sea, así muy resumido, porque a mí me parece un caso muy interesante. A mí, concretamente, me ha gustado mucho vuestra idea de lo que hacéis.
Sí, básicamente somos una startup. Empezamos hace pues año y medio haciendo televisión online. Lo que hacemos es un show diario en inglés, español y francés. Another question I want to know about MySpace.
Yeah.
What's the idea to monetize the mobile site?
So we originally started with a premium subscription. So the user would pay $3 American a month, and then of course there's a rev share between us and the carrier. We've gone a different direction because the number one concern that we've heard from all our users is, why should I pay for it if it's free on the internet? And that seems to be not just an American ideology, it's a global one. It's why should I pay for stuff? I want free, give me free, give me free. I'm already paying for data, I'm already paying for my phone, give it to me for free. So mobile advertising. So I've got our site, like the question you asked is who's actually linked into a mobile site, and Manoj and I were just joking, it's like we're logged in all the time. And this is our website. Right across the little top is a very, very small little banner for Ford. There you go. That's how you do it. It's free to the user. And the one thing that we've noticed, especially on the internet, I mean, MySpace, our bread and butter is internet advertising. We serve up 15% of all the ads on the internet. We are the most successful website when it comes to advertising revenue, period.
By a long way.
Oh, leaps and bounds anybody else. Nobody can touch us. Even before Murdoch bought us. That's the reason he bought us, was we own the internet when it comes to advertising. And if you really look at it, we're not beating you over the head with advertising. But people will sit through an advert for video, as a prime example. I have seen videos where you have, during the load screen, static ad. Then you have a pre-roll, then you had a mid-roll, and then you had a post-roll. It was a horrific experience going, wow, I'm looking at a digital billboard.
Yeah.
Yet hundreds of thousands of views. Because it's free. Users will watch anything for free. And when it comes to a distribution model, if you've got the content, this is kind of where my sales pitch comes in. If you've got the content, we got 270 million users. We don't charge you to throw a video up. Create a profile, throw a video up. If it's 100 megs, fantastic. We don't care. Tell everybody in the world, go to myspace.com/whatever, look at my video. Done. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost us anything. We don't charge you for it. Social networking is the next content distribution model. Because what's going to happen is one person's going to see that video. I'm going to see it. I'm going to tell Manoj. Manoj is going to tell Sean Choi, who's our development manager. Sean Choi is going to tell the rest of the mobile group. The mobile group are going to go tell some of the guys that we have that are friends up in dev. Dev guys are going to tell some of the knock. Knock are going to start telling their friends on the outside world. People are going to start sending bulletins about it, and then that's how you get viral. With our video section, we didn't start off with, oh my God, we are MySpace TV. I mean, literally, we started with 2 servers. And then when Tom said, all right, I'm going to tell the planet that we have video, in 48 hours we went from 2 to 500 servers. That's how it is.
This morning at the Munich airport, and yesterday we had 612,000 users signed up. So these are the users who actually signed up for MySpace just yesterday. And yesterday, like any other day, we had about 28 million users who actually logged into MySpace. I don't think there's any community outside, anywhere, where you would see so many million users active at any given point in time. So this is part of the technical challenge we face. And you know, it's like cliche within MySpace that we got too many users.